Hello, and welcome to FitPros Live. You are in store for an educational and engaging session. Your instructor is live and able to answer questions that you drop in the chat. And we encourage you to respectfully interact with one another. Check your company's wellbeing portal for more live sessions this week. We are a community of wellness warriors. Now let's slay the day. Today, we are going to be having a live session called Are Superfoods Real? So are they real? Oh my goodness, just a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started though. We are, as you can see, recording today's session and you can watch it at a later time. Also, I'll have you just mute yourselves for the duration of the program, but there will be a chance to come off mute and ask questions, and I will definitely be checking the chat as we go along here today. So I would love to get your feedback and questions and any comments that you have. And then if you could turn your video camera on, it's so fun to connect. That is always really great. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here with our health talk. I'm so excited to be presenting this with you. All righty. Well, another thing, I will share our feedback link in the chat here. And if you have time to drop us a line, what you liked, what you'd like to see in the future, that always helps. We love to get your feedback there. So I think we're all set here. Let's go ahead and, oops, there we go. All righty. So picture what this would be like to be this woman, so energized, just killing it. What do you think this would feel like? I bet she probably had definitely a diet rich in superfoods. This is how you feel when your body is fully nourished, when you have the right kinds of foods, superfoods every day fueling you so that you don't feel that brain fog. And maybe you even have the energy to go work out at the end of the day. But the truth is, a lot of times, busy professionals, we feel like this, right? We're kind of not killing it as much on the nutrition front and feeling that drag in the afternoon, maybe needing to go out and get a Starbucks, or maybe we've had a fast food like McDonald's or something earlier in the day because we're just not prepared. And maybe we just don't have that understanding of what we need to add to our diets. Hate this feeling. We're basically having the opposite of superfoods when we do this, right? But if you are waking up and just kind of grabbing whatever's convenient, and it's probably not the healthiest thing. Imagine if you were to have a power breakfast, some healthy snacks, a dinner plan that incorporates some really super nutritious food in every meal. That is what we like to call a super plate. And is superfoods just another diet craze? We're definitely going to be busting some myths here. We're going to be looking at how food can be medicine, and also, of course, covering some basics of just cooking basics and meal planning. So let's go ahead and get started here. Why would you want to listen to me anyway? I am Suzy Destarac. I am a mom of 3 daughters, and I love helping busy professionals align their well-being with their stress so that they can avoid burnout, not upend their whole entire life, like doing crazy diets and things like that, and really living your intended life. So that is what I love to do. If nothing else, I'm a mom of 3 daughters who are all adults now. Well, my third is 18, so I'm not sure if you call that an adult, but she's off to college, and they all survived my nutrition adventures and my food science and all of that, and hopefully have a good sound basis in nutrition. But I definitely know what it's like to be a single mom, have just try to put yourself on the priority list along with balancing your career and maybe family and all of those things. So I'm going to be sharing my expertise with you in this session about superfoods. What is a superfood? Is it like your broccoli's wearing a cape, or what is a superfood? Maybe you're thinking green drinks, kale salads. It's just the same monotonous food over and over. I promise you that there is a lot of variety. But basically, a superfood in essence means that it is a food that is just very nutritiously dense, checks more of those boxes, has more of the nutrients. It kind of gives you more bang for your buck. So that is always a good thing. We want to be efficient with our eating. But let me just tell you a little bit about kind of the history of the term superfoods. It started with a banana craze during World War I, believe it. It's not, but it has become kind of catchy headlines, and it seems like there's a new superfood every month that we're supposed to buy or, somehow get into our diets. A lot of times these days, it's kind of a marketing strategy. You see it, sort of placed strategically in boxed foods and things like that, maybe in supplements. And at the end of the day, it is a lot of the times aimed at selling health products. So all the hype aside, there actually are some legitimate superfoods and foods that, like I said, they just check more of the boxes, and they're worth placing strategically into your meal plan if you can. Food science is a real thing. There are a lot of marketing ploys out there to kind of pull us away and are more geared towards selling a product, but it is really an important area to look at. And the truth is that nutrition touches every aspect of our health. So I think that we can get a lot of bang for our buck in investing our time, our care, and even our dollars into healthy food and finding the foods that are going to be really healing. So let's bust some myths right now. Hearing about some recommendations. Sometimes it can get really confusing out there just looking at the different headlines and all of the marketing things that come our way. I like to focus on this Harvard Medical School My Plate, or it's actually called the Healthy Eating Plate. And what I want you to focus on here is that it is half of the plate is fruits and vegetables. Okay, so plants are half the plate at every meal. So that is really the key. And what we're finding is, along with quantity does matter, we want to have about half of what we're eating be fruits and vegetables. It also matters the diversity. So we want to be having a very diverse diet. There is no single fruit or vegetable that is going to be the magic bullet, if you will, for longevity and things like that. It's more about building a super plate. And I think that's the whole message of this Harvard Healthy Eating Plate. So I like to just kind of show you that. I think it's a great visual. I am going to be showing you my recipe for a diet that does help you get all the superfoods in a very doable way. What do you think of when you look at this picture? How many of these foods do you actually eat in this picture? Maybe you might want to pop some of them in the chat. It's fun to just sort of see these, or which ones might you like to include? Just pop it in the chat and I'll check here. It's very interesting. There's over 10,000 phytonutrients in plants and whole food. So that phytonutrients are like vitamins, minerals, enzymes, factors that come in whole food. So how do we get those nutrients in our body into our body in a consistent way? And that is what we are going to spend time talking about right now. So fitting in some of these superfoods. We obviously have 3 to 5 meals a day. So there's lots of opportunities to fit those foods in. I want to show you some examples of how you can get that in. One is eggs. So brown eggs, I like to go for the pasture raised if possible. That's good. The closer to nature is better. So chickens that are eating the bugs and the plants that grow naturally in the fields, those are going to be the best source of nutrients for us. So like for breakfast, you might want to go with some eggs, maybe a smoothie that would have some superfood seeds like flax seeds, chia seeds, lots of berries in there. You can definitely pack some spinach in there as well, and some other greens. Swiss chard, for instance, this is just 1 cup of Swiss chard. So 1 cup of Swiss chard, and you can throw that into a smoothie, a lunch, maybe have it with your dinner at night. That contains most of the magnesium that we need in our diet. And magnesium plays a really strong role in your body's stress response. So it's a really important nutrient. What do you think you would feel like if at the beginning of the day you started off with some of these superfoods listed here, maybe a cup of green tea in there as well, and a cup of spinach or other greens like that? How do you think that that would feel? So another superfood that I like to talk about, which is great for snacks, and I don't have it on this slide, but is avocados. And you can get avocados in easy little packages like this that are already self-packaged, very easy to take with you and add into your salad or put on a little bit, maybe some avocado toast. That would be amazing for lunch or breakfast as well. My very favorite fast food snack is organic apples. Just get a bag of organic apples, keep it in your fridge, keep one in your car. It is the best, handiest superfood around that you can have for a snack. And then you can throw some nuts in there, some raw almonds. That's really good. Maybe some pumpkin seeds. Also, soybeans or edamame is a very healthy way to get in all kinds of phytonutrients, some really healthy fiber, and then also some healthy protein. So that is a great one. And don't forget your water. Just being dehydrated by 5%. Actually, I'm going to just take a sip. It's so good. You can infuse your water with like a lemon. I have some basil leaves in here, so very fun infusions for water. That'll spice it up, make it taste really good and refreshing. But just being dehydrated by 5% actually really takes a toll on how our nervous system is working, how we're thinking, our focus, and all of that stuff. So squeeze in a little bit of lemon in your water, and that will help you out as well. I like to mention on here acerola cherries. Or dark tart cherries. They're great to buy frozen. That's a really great thing to do. And they are so rich in vitamin C. They actually have about 100% more, 50 to 100% more vitamin C than even citrus fruits. So something very interesting there about the cherries. And also we want to make sure that we're getting lots of carb sources that are very rich in fiber as well. So try and get the peeling in. You can see on the, for meals, a great way to get some of those superfoods, superfood that has a lot of fiber and really healthy carbs is sweet potatoes. So think about sweet potatoes and don't just eat the insides. You want to include the seeds as well. Salmon is a very great one to include a couple servings a week. That is an excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids. And we're going to talk more about that as well. So as you can see here, just in this picture, there are some great examples of how to get superfoods into your diet specifically. Here is my recipe for incorporating superfoods into your diet and developing a lifestyle that doesn't have an expiration date or extreme restrictions. Who wants that? Extreme restrictions are no fun. It just makes us upend our whole lifestyle, and it's so hard to stick to. So this is the 5S diet. Let's just talk about this for a minute. I know these are some things that you can do. So we want to, the first S is salads. The second one is smoothies, and then we've got spices. I'm going to tell you all about the different flavor profiles of spices. And then we've got seafood, which we talked a little bit about salmon, but I'm going to tell you another way to get those omega-3s in through seafood. And smart supplementation. That is really helpful as well. And this is kind of like the Mediterranean diet, the diet that is the best studied diet in the whole world. And it's very rich in whole food. It's very rich in plants and fruits and vegetables and grains, and low on animal protein. We also have a lot of healthy oils in there as well in the Mediterranean diet. It's very low. It helps us to lower inflammation. Obviously not very processed, which is great, and includes lots of plants. So we're going to go into some of the details of this 5S diet. The first one is salads. Making salads in a jar is a really easy way that will save you time. You can add in a lot of different superfoods in there, and it's really easy to make. I like to prep these at the beginning of the week and make a few of them so that I open up my refrigerator and I have this vibrant collection of beautiful salads. You can make them themed. You can do all kinds of different things, but we can really pack in those superfoods. So on the bottom, you want to just put a little bit of dressing. I like to make my dressing with like an olive oil base and maybe some vinegars. That will be great. You can add in a little bit of mustard in there, like Dijon mustard. That's great too. So many fun ways to make your own salad dressing using high quality oils, not that yucky canola oil and things like that that they put in salad dressings and that you store by. It's also a lot less expensive. Then we want to layer in our hard vegetables, maybe your tomatoes, your carrots, things like that. Those are great things to put in at the bottom. They're going to kind of sit like on the top of the dressing. And then we can put in some grains. If we want to have some grains, maybe some quinoa in there, maybe some walnuts, things like that. Then we're going to pack it full with greens. So we want to have a variety of greens. If we can get organic greens, that's even better. But if you can't, that's okay. Just go ahead and make sure you wash them really well. But we want to pack it to the top with greens so that we don't have a lot of air. And then I usually like to put a little bit of seeds on there, maybe some sunflower seeds, maybe some sesame seeds, something to just give it that little bit of a kick, and maybe even some fun spices. So it's a very creative way to just get in a lot of superfoods easily. The next S is the sipping solution. And the sipping solution is basically smoothies. So this is a perfect way to pulverize and disguise a ton of different fruits and vegetables. You can be very sneaky here too if you're trying to sneak them in for your own taste buds, or maybe that of a child or another adult that you live with that is a picky eater. I also want to bust another myth right here, and that is about frozen fruits and vegetables. So frozen is sometimes even better than fresh. Usually when the manufacturers do frozen food, they pick them at the peak of ripeness, frozen fruits and vegetables, rather, not just like frozen packaged food, but they usually pick them right at the peak of ripeness. And that's when most of the nutrients go into the fruits and vegetables on the last days ripening on the vine. From there, they're flash frozen, packaged, and just ready for you to pick up. A lot of times it can be really economical too. If something's in season, you can wash it, freeze it yourself, and have those batches like that. Also, if it goes on sale, that's a great time to bulk up on those as well. Do you like smoothies? What kind of smoothies do you like to have? Maybe you could pop it in the chat and I'll check here. But smoothies are very healing for the gut. They just having that, they're kind of pre-digested. So it gets digested very easily and the nutrients go into our bloodstream right away. So it's a very soothing way for our body to get fruits and vegetables in through that smoothie. Another thing is they are very anti-inflammatory. So with all of the plants that we generally have in smoothies, it's a great way to just get those anti-inflammatory superfoods running through our blood every single day. And like I said, pulverize and disguise. You can sneak in some kale or some of those foods that might be a little bit, maybe a little bit more bitter tasting. I like to also add a protein powder, a plant-based protein powder. And when you go shopping for protein powders, if you decide to do that, I really recommend you going for a plant-based and look for like an NSF certification or a certifying body that is showing you the purity of that product. The one that I really like is the Juice Plus Complete and Perform. Those are some really great ones that are very safe and very clean. And then we want to add seafood. Well, what if you don't like seafood? What if you don't eat fish? What if you're vegan? Okay, that's fine. Because guess what? One of the main reasons why we want to add seafood is because of the omega-3 in there. Omega-3 is an I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the word here. It is an essential fatty acid. And what that means is that our body has to have it, but our body can't make it. So we got to get it from food. So salmon, wild caught Pacific salmon, is a great source for it, but the fish do not they don't make the omega-3. They actually get it from seafood too. They get it from eating algae and other sea vegetables. So you definitely, seafood includes like nori and algae, and you can get like algae powder and spirulina and these kinds of things. And they're wonderful sources of those nutrients. So I like to just mention that, but we do want to get our seafood in. And then we want to get smart supplements. So smart supplements are supplements that are plant-based. They are supplements that have been researched, they're science-backed, and they have a certification on them. So the Juice Plus products are the ones that I recommend, but you can definitely do your own research out there. I will pop in the chat my website for going to look at some of those smart supplements. So let's go to the next S, which is spices. So spices include 6 flavor elements. There are 6 flavor elements that we have, and it's spicy, salty, sweet, bitter, sour, and umami. Umami, that just is the one that makes your meals taste great. You actually have about 10,000 taste buds, and they're anxiously awaiting their rendezvous with all of these 6 elements that come in spices. These spices also contain great nutrient profiles. Part of the strong taste that they have means that they are more dense in nutrients. So when you see color and you taste, that usually indicates a bigger punch as far as nutrition goes. And the key is to making your meals really tasty is to try and include at least 6 flavor profiles, maybe into your sauces or your meals in some way. And that's going to give you that yum factor as well. So let's just cover these just for a minute, just so that you can get some examples of what these might look like. Like I said, there's 6 different flavor profiles. The first one is spicy. So think black pepper, cayenne pepper, coriander, cumin, paprika. These are some. Do you have a favorite spice that you like to cook with? Go ahead and pop that in the chat as well. But spices are, well, the spice of life. It definitely evokes different opinions. Everybody has a lot of their feelings around spice. It really evokes that emotion. But there are a lot of health benefits to adding that heat to your meals. So one way that you can add spice in is through your sauces, maybe salsas or marinades, things like that. You can usually kind of sprinkle them in there and get a little bit of a kick. And they say that the heat is good for your metabolism. The next one is salty. So you notice I've got some vinegar, a picture of vinegar here. Well, I'm talking about salt. Well, vinegar is actually a great option if you would like to decrease the amount of sodium and salt intake that you're having and substitute it for something else. You might go for the vinegar options. Also with salt, it is such a powerful taste. Pink sea salt is a great option when you are salting your food at home, whatever you're cooking. A lot of times they just use it as a finishing salt on our meals at restaurants, but it's great to just use in all your cooking. It has a little less sodium, and having come from the sea, it actually has some trace minerals in there as well. And then we have sweet. Sweet is just it's just such a happy spice. It's very energizing, and some ways that you can get in that sweet taste other than just table sugar, which is kind of what we automatically think of. But we can think of honey, agave nectar. Those are great substitutes for just straight sugar. Also cinnamon, Vietnamese cinnamon is in particular has a very sweet taste to it. And fruit. So adding fruit, you see this beautiful watermelon here. Gosh, the fruits are a great way to add that sweet flavor, and even to pulverize them and put them them into sauces and different things like peaches. Right now, I'm from Colorado, so it's peach season here. So just incorporating those peaches into my meals is really wonderful. Another flavor profile is the bitter. So maybe you think of, bitter just sounds kind of mean. I don't know. It just sounds kind of mean, but it really adds a lot of depth to our foods. And there's some great nutritional benefits to it as well. So think of here, like the zest. So your citrus zest, it sounds quite bitter. It actually adds a lot of depth to your meals. And it's also a great source of B vitamins. You can get just all sorts of citrus oils in there that are very healing for you. Some herbs that are could be considered in that bitter family. You might think of like oregano or rosemary, cilantro, parsley, basil, mint. Those are all in that bitter category, and also mustard. So mustard is in that bitter category. And then we get to sour. So here it's so easy to think of our citrus, our limes and lemons. Of course, that's going to be a sour taste. Yogurt is another one, and getting organic Greek yogurt is a great source of protein if you are not lactose intolerant. Rhubarb is another way to get that sour in, and some of the vinegars, as well as being in that salt category, they also go towards the sour. But here's the fun one, umami. Have you ever even heard of umami? Say it with me. Umami, umami. Oh, that is a fun one. It's basically that savory, rich, it's just an explosion of taste. It's a very satisfying flavor. And it really comes from glutamate, not MSG glutamate, not like monosodium glutamate, but it comes from fermented foods like fermented cheeses, soy sauce, fish sauce, miso. Those are some great examples. Kimchi. The Japanese actually brought the definition of umami to us because we didn't used to really think of this word umami as part of the flavor profiles. But in Japanese traditions, they sort of described it and defined it, and now it is considered in that flavor profile. So have fun adding those flavor profiles into your cooking. I want to switch gears for a little bit into how superfoods can act as medicine for our body. So the microbiome, or our gut, is very key in our immune system, in our nervous system. Most of our neurotransmitters are actually made in our gut. So think of serotonin, the happy hormone. About 80% of that is made in your gut. So it's very important for us to take care of our gut chemistry, our microbiome, as it's called. So the way that we do that is really through food. We want to add in foods that are rich in fiber, that kind of prebiotic fiber, which is basically means that it's what the good gut bacteria feed on. So prebiotic fiber is going to be like the peels of your sweet potato, the peels of maybe your cucumber or your squash. And it is a way to really just increase the abundance of that good gut bacteria. So by getting all those diverse foods, the rainbow, like we showed in that one slide, that is where we're going to get this fiber that our gut so badly needs, and also all of those phytonutrients in there. So this is just a fun picture. Well, not really fun for the poor gentleman in the picture, because obviously his gut is kind of inflamed and not feeling too well. But it's a good visual for us to remember another one of the reasons why we want to have all of these superfoods in our diet is because it's actually medicine for our body. So one of the ways to get in all of these foods, let's just go back a little bit to that 5S diet. So we can get the salads, the smoothies. Those are great ways to get in all of this good food that's going to be great and healing for our gut as well. Let's do a little recap of learning here. Let's just review. We've covered a lot. First of all, what is the 5 diets? Give me 5 S's. Give me an S. Just drop them in the chat there. Let me see what you're getting out of this. And we want to We want to remember that food is medicine as well. So, okay, I'm seeing some S's come through here. So we've got salads, smoothies, spices, seafood, and smart supplementation. Those are going to be the 5 S's. And remember, we want to eat the rainbow. So we want to get that variety and diversity in, because we want to get the phytonutrients, and the phytonutrients are the medicine for our body. So quick recap there. Definitely let me know if you have any questions that come up. We can pause a little bit here. So how is this going to play out in a day-to-day basis? We've talked about a lot of different things. So let's talk about just break it down into what we can do. First of all, what you want to do is take an inventory of your pantry and your fridge. It might be that you have a lot of these superfoods on hand. Maybe you've got your bag of almonds or other nuts or seeds that have just been sitting there for a while. We'll get those guys out and we can start sprinkling them into our meals, our salads, our snacks, all of that kind of stuff. Maybe you've got a bag of frozen blueberries in there as well. Let's pull that out. So let's take an inventory, because we don't want to just do a whole overhaul. Well, you can do a whole overhaul and just throw the bad things out and get all new good things. But sometimes we like to just work with what we have and build on it. So what is one meal or snack? Let's just break it down really simple, where it might be easy to add in some of the superfoods that we talked about. Would that be maybe dinner, maybe having a superfood salad for lunch made in your salad in a jar? Maybe it's adding in a smoothie in the morning that you can sip on throughout the morning. Let's see what some of those things might be. This might be helpful. You can take a screenshot of this, or you can also download a meal plan chart from online sources, or even just draw it on a whiteboard or a piece of paper, just a chart where you can kind of chart out some of these foods that you want to add. So some things just as a bonus activity that can help you are the tracking apps, or just keeping a simple journal to just keep in mind, what are you actually adding? What are you eating on a day-to-day basis? Kind of take an inventory of that, along with your pantry and all that. Take an inventory of what you are currently eating and what your eating styles are, so that you can strategically place some of these good foods in there. I always think it's helpful to just sort of jot down the foods that you've had in the day. Just do that even for a couple of days, like I said, so that you can see the patterns. So let's cover some specific meals. Here is breakfast. I like to think of breakfast as PFF, so protein, fat, and fiber. That is going to give you a really powerful super plate for breakfast. And some examples are in here. These are the ingredients that I use to make overnight oats. So the basic recipe for making overnight oats, and you can make a few of them at one time. It's very, very great to store in the fridge. You can even freeze them, but you basically want to do 1/3 cup of oats. I like to get the rolled oats. Don't get the instant ones. They just end up being really mushy. So definitely get the rolled oats, and you can get gluten-free ones as well. So you're going to put 1/3 of a cup of those, and then you're going to do 2/3 of a cup of plant milk. When you get your plant milk, you can get whichever variety that you like. Just go for the ones that are unsweetened. We don't need that extra sugar in our diet, and you'll get used to the taste. We're going to sweeten it up with some fruit. I like to put like some apples or blueberries or other berries in there. And then also add about a tablespoon of chia seeds or flax seeds, some kind of seed that's going to add in some of the great nutrients. And then I love to stir in about a tablespoon of nut butter, usually almond butter or peanut butter is a great one too, and stir that in. Just stir it all together, pop it in your fridge. You are good to go. Another PFF, protein, fat, and fiber breakfast, well, not so much on the fiber, is hard-boiled eggs. That's something that you can easily prep at the beginning of the week and just make a whole batch of them, and you're ready to go. So a serving is going to be 2 eggs, 2 to 3 eggs. Now for simple snacks. So one of the rules that I like to talk about is the rule of twos. So we're going to eat twice as often. We're eating more meals. We're going to eat half as much at each meal, and we're going to chew twice as long. So we're going to take your time to chew. So say it with me. The rule of twos is eat twice as often, eat half as much, and chew twice as long. That is the rule of twos. And want to add these snacks in strategically. I like to add at least one snack a day, sometimes two. That's going to keep our blood sugar nice and steady so that we can keep making these great decisions on our food that we're eating. So hopefully that is handy. And at this point, is there a food that you have identified that you'd kind of like to try? Pop it in the chat here. Let me see what foods you'd like to try. And how would you feel if you ate these foods in the afternoon, say, or maybe mid-morning in a snack? These are some great ideas here pictured in the picture that you could add to your repertoire of foods. And then we get to the meals, especially weeknight meals. So how do we plan for those so that we're not running through a drive-through or kind of, ending up in that situation where we don't want to be? Think of every time you cook or prepare food, think of it as we want to be able to cook or prepare once and use it more than once. So I like to think of it as your health savings account. So just like when you get paid, you hopefully put some money into savings. We also want to put money into our HSA, our health savings account. And some great ones that you can do kind of batch and freeze, or just batch a couple of batches are soups and stews. So I really recommend trying this out. Again, like the smoothies, they're easy to digest, and it's also a great way to include a lot of different superfoods and get that fiber and all kinds of different things. So some great bases for soups, and pop in the chat too if you have a favorite stew or soup that you like to make. Some great bases are going to be like your butternut squash, acorn squash, potatoes. Potatoes and leeks are especially good. You can also do like a chicken stock or a vegetable stock homemade, and that is going to be a really rich source of nutrients as well. So remember that each time you prepare food, keep it in your mind. I need to put into my HSA too. I need to save some of this. And like I said, the batching and freezing, that can be a really great way to just prepare so that you're strategically placing these superfoods into your diet. Now, how do we repurpose leftovers so that we're being sustainable and we're being budget friendly as well? So what I made this protein bowl out of? This was a little bit of carrot, a little bit of sweet potato that I had left over, some beets, some peppers. I had some celery in there, like a half a stick of celery, some frozen edamame beans, and some cauliflower. Oh, it looks like I have a little bit of chicken in there as well, and some greens. So this is just a super plate, if you will. And I did it from leftovers. So you can definitely do like a protein bowl like this. One of the tricks to making these really especially yummy is to add that spice to it. So you can make a nice sauce, like maybe a peanut sauce, even add a little spice in there to bring the heat up. So this is a really good example of making a simple superfood meal. Another one that I like to just touch on is beans. So beans and legumes are a wonderful source of fiber, protein, healthy carbs for our diet. We don't get them nearly enough in the American diet. Some of our other cultures around the world do a much better job including those. And I like to talk about doing the beans from the dried beans because it is so economical. Now, certainly it's fine to buy canned beans. I do it myself. But if you'd like to try making dried beans, here's a little Cuban grandma wisdom from my abuela. Soak the beans twice as long and cook them twice as long. The package is not right. You're going to have to soak it and cook it twice as long. So that's my advice for you there. But think about it the night before, soak them overnight, and then you just want to cook them twice as long. They're absolutely delicious, makes a ton of food. Definitely a major superfood there. And you can also pair it with all these other fun superfoods that are in the picture, some onions, some sweet potatoes, some green pepper, and we've got our spices there. This is an anytime taco here in the right side picture. So tacos are for every day, not just Tuesday in my book. And then here is some snacks. So here's a snack tray for you. We've got some power balls back there. Those are going to be made with that plant-based protein, some nut butter, some oats. I've got the recipe on my website. You can email me to get that recipe. Suzy at shinehealthcollective.com is my email. We've also got some wonderful homemade hummus here. Again, a great way to get the beans inserted into your diet, and very economical when you make it yourself. And then of course, all these lovely cut up fruits. It was, I got the watermelon radish, that pink little vegetable in the center there. That's a watermelon radish. I got that locally at a farmer's market. And then you see I've got my smoothie there, but I've also got my sweet treats on the right. So just eating superfoods does not mean that we don't have any treats. We, when you're adding in your treats, and I recommend that you do, especially if you have a sweet tooth, because if we don't manage to add those things in, then that's where we kind of get into trouble and not being able to comply with, the desires that we want to have for a diet. Some keys to think about with your desserts, using fruits are a great way, like making a healthier fruit pie. And again, that's, something that you can either search for online. We do some great demos with healthy desserts as well. Right here on the right, I have the pumpkin dark chocolate gluten-free cookies. These are wonderful. I used an entire can of pureed pumpkin in there. So they really have quite a lot of fiber. And then when you're doing chocolate chips, get the 72% or above is what I like to get of the cocoa content or cacao. That is going to be the amount that you want to look for. I want to talk to you just for a minute about the blue zones. Anybody heard of the blue zones? Blue zones are areas where there are a pretty good population, a high population of the population, a high percentage of the population that lives into their hundreds healthfully. And so there's 5 areas, and this is just an example of Icaria, Greece, which is one of them. And this is their diet, what their diet consistently consists of. So you can see a lot of vegetables, a lot of plants in there, not a lot of meat products. They have some fish in there. This is an island in the Aegean Sea, and these people have half the rate of heart disease and almost no dementia in their population. And this is what they eat. The other ones that I like to mention are La Loma, California. So really close to LA there. And these are actually a community of Adventists, and they really have just the power of faith and friendship and fruit and vegetables in their diet. Then we have Sardinia, which is a Mediterranean island. That's one of the blue zones. And this is a huge concentration of men, and they have very low heart disease. So very interesting. And their diet has actually not changed much over the past 2,000 years. The last 2 are Okinawa, Japan. Okinawans have a very plant-based diet that they have eaten almost their whole life, very strong in sweet potatoes there. And then we've got Nicoya, Costa Rica. And there they tend to eat less food. They eat their bigger meals during the midday. So, and most of theirs most of their diet consists of the 3 sisters of agriculture, including squash, corn, and beans. So with the blue zone diets, with the blue zone lifestyles, there are actually 9 characteristics, and you'll see them all here in this. And you can definitely go to the Blue Zone website to check out more details on that. We're not going to really cover all of it right now, but they basically, all of them have in common that they are very plant strong. They have active lifestyles. They're social belonging, like a life purpose, and definitely manage stress. So there's a lot of great information and inspiration, I think, that we can get from that group of people. So are you hungry? I showed you all these pictures of food. What is the one thing that stuck with you today? What's a takeaway? Maybe it's pulverized in disguise, or umami, or maybe something that you learned from those Blue Zone populations. But what is something that could be helpful? Like I said, you can email me at Suzy@shinehealthcollective.com and check out more of the superfood information that I have on my website as well. But I just thank you so much. Here's some of the resources that I have used in today's talk. So feel free to take a screenshot of that. And we have time for a few questions now as well. And I'll just go ahead and end with putting my information up there. I would love to have you connect with me. Let's definitely keep in touch. And I will be checking the chat now for any questions that you have. Thank you so much for your time today. And let's go slay the day.